This is an account of a young woman who had a major panic attack on her way to an event in the Bronx. She made it to the event, but had to call an ambulance and ended up in the psychiatric emergency room for the first time in her life. I'll continue telling you her story through her mind, and here goes. The lights are very bright in the psych ER. There is only one area for sitting and another area that houses 2 hospital beds. It is quite drab and a pretty small space. As I look around, I'm still grappling with being in the psych ER. I notice an area off to the side where I see what looks like a doctor's station. Well, a psychiatrist station would be more precise. There is a nurse available, but I'm assuming, once again, she is a psychiatric nurse if there is such a thing. I was originally registered in the main emergency room at the hospital, and after many inquiries about my condition, I was wheeled down a long hallway with twists and turns in my hospital bed and parked at the psychiatric ER. I was confused with the switch, but then thought to myself, a panic attack is primarily a psychological issue, even though it causes very scary and alarming physical symptoms. So that's why I'm now here. I'm unfamiliar with this world, so my mind is absorbing this experience in a way it hasn't before. All I can think of is psych, psych, psych. I'm in psych. Me. Yes, me. It doesn't matter what my story is. It doesn't matter whether I'm a good person from a good family, a bad person from a good family, or a bad or a good person with no family. I am in the psychiatric area of the emergency room, and the staff here only knows one thing as I sit here, and that is, I am in psych. And they can be assured that more likely than not, there's a cray-cray issue going on with me. If I was in the regular emergency room, there is an anonymity that is afforded the patients to a certain extent, unless it's obvious by their condition as to why they are there. For instance, a severed foot is pretty evident of the reason for the patient's visit, or a pregnant woman in excruciating pain gripping her partner's hand as he escorts her in with a look of fear and bravery on his face. But in the psychiatric ER, I feel so exposed. I feel judged, even without an incident or concrete evidence to support my inner accusations. There is even an absence of medical equipment that you normally see in the regular ER, like heart monitors with that all too familiar beeping sounds you hear in hospitals and especially on TV shows and in the movies. The mobile blood pressure thingy, the storage areas with all sorts of gauze, bandages, alcohol pads, and all those things nurses need to attend to their patients. In here, there's a more limited supply. Like I guess they figure, what supplies would you really need for crazy except possibly a straitjacket and a syringe? So for me, in the psychiatric ER, I felt like those things were missing because I'm crazy, not sick. I was thinking, I guess crazy people don't need all of that because it's a mind thing. So as you can tell, the absence of the standard medical equipment and supplies bothered me. It made me feel like I was unhinged, and the lady sitting next to me did not help. There are a variety of treatments available for people with panic attacks, but there is a distinction between people who experience panic attacks and people who have a panic anxiety disorder. However, many treatments for anxiety incorporate relaxation techniques, avoidance of certain foods or beverages such as caffeine or alcohol, and quitting smoking. Psychotherapy and medication can help reduce the effects of the condition, and cognitive behavioral therapy is a very useful tool as well. But many people are only able to manage them with these treatments, but do not always experience complete freedom. Okay, now back to our story. As I said before, the lady sitting next to me in the ER was pleasant, but quite talkative. Out of all of the things we talked about, what sticks out to me the most was that she was constantly saying she was glad to be safe. So I'm thinking she's paranoid. I'm not a psychiatrist, of course. I'm waiting to see one myself. But she seemed afraid of something, and the psychiatric ER was providing some type of comfort for her from whatever she was afraid of. I, on the other hand, was having a hard time dealing with the experience because something about this made my condition become more real to me. Even though fairly recently I was diagnosed with a panic anxiety disorder and was given some medication for it, it's like this experience took it to the next level. It somehow made it official for me, and that was scary. All of the stereotypes about people who have mental health issues flooded my mind. I thought to myself, will this show up on my employment record somewhere and prevent me from qualifying for some jobs? Am I barred from interacting with children? What about my friends? Will they look at me differently? Call me Looney Tunes behind my back? As my mind is racing, the nurse comes over to me and escorts me to see the psychiatrist on duty. He seems pleasant, he asks me a couple of questions, and encourages me to keep taking my meds, and that was pretty much it. I have to say I did feel overlooked a bit. This may not be true, but I felt like because I looked normal, that he wasn't interested in probing any further into my experiences with panic attacks. I can imagine that he has seen it all in this field of work, and I can understand that. But I wanted him to show more alarm at the fact that my panic attack was so severe that I called an ambulance. If I knew now what I didn't know then, I would have expected this somewhat unconcerned, nonchalant attitude. I really don't mean this disrespectfully. It's just that I learned over the years after this psychiatric emergency room visit that my condition is not considered as severe as others in the mental health field. And I do understand that, and it's uncommon for anyone to actually be hospitalized for a panic attack. So when the psychiatrist on duty spoke with me that day, I do understand his perspective. He's seeing someone who is not psychotic, her clothes are not disheveled or dirty, she's well groomed, she's able to communicate effectively, and she's not having any thoughts of killing herself or killing others. I get it. But I am suffering something terrible, and it's invisible. What am I supposed to do with this? So I'm released from the psychiatric emergency room not long after my talk with the psychiatrist on duty. I say my goodbyes to my cray-cray partner in crime and leave out of those slow, sliding glass double doors, changed forever. Lord Jesus, what am I going to do?